All right, I'm live. Cool. I wish I had more time today. The plan is to stream this Monday, next Monday, and the Monday after. And also this coming Saturday, the Saturday after that. Yeah, that's the plan. Mm-hmm. My forehead is huge. My hairline is terrible. I should say a mistake I made in the last stream was saying all the evidence is circumstantial. I mean that it's a coincidental evidence. So, with all of the dreams of the prophets, the beasts, Revelation is a big book of, what's the word? Symbolism. There's a lot of symbolism. And what Octotheism tries to do is try to explain that symbolism, trying to find meaning to it. So, the evidence is that how do these things work out? The base theory works for so many different symbolism uses in the Bible. So there's a lot of that's where the evidence comes from. It's a lot of coincidence. Now, it isn't definite proof because I don't believe everyone is meant to believe in octotheism. I don't think everyone is gonna believe in octotheism. I'd say for the sake of the fear of the people, not everyone's going to believe because believing in octotheism is scary. You don't know if you're going to heaven or hell, really. Christianity tells you all you can do to get to heaven, which is to accept Christ. But even then, if you sin in heaven, some spirits will sin in heaven because they're less stable. They'll be destined for hell. They won't be allowed in heaven. So that includes a bunch of human spirits. There's two kinds of human spirits. There's those that are destined for heaven, those who are destined for hell. All who can be saved will be saved. So it's very strong predestination. And it's scary to believe in octotheism. So having definite proof is a bad thing. You want there to be. I think more people will believe in octotheism than those who will believe in Christianity. But not everybody will believe in octotheism. And that's for the sake of the fear of the people. So having concrete evidence, it's not existent for this reason. Now, the coincidental evidence, there's a lot of it, but it won't ever give a 100% assurance that this is right. It's not like 2 plus 2 equals 4 or 5 plus 5 equals 10. It's not that concrete. It's like saying pi is about 3.14. We don't exactly know what the value is, but it's about that value. It's kind of like that. Instead of actually saying, oh, hey, here's all the digits of pi and what they are exactly. This is a bad analogy, isn't it? I guess you could use pi, the analogy of pi, in a different way. Back way when we didn't know what pi was, or the actual value of pi. We didn't know what it was. We had estimations. So the tools they used then is kind of like the tools Octotheism uses. It's not as good as perfection would be. Oh yeah, and another thing that was brought up in the last stream was Proverbs 30 and changing scripture. Changing scripture. So, or like adding to scripture. So in Octotheism, I look at Revelation 13:18. Anyone who tries to solve that puzzle, that's an exception. You can try to solve the puzzle because it allows you to solve the puzzle. It says, let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast. So my argument I have turned into Octotheism. All my writings, everything I've written, all of it. It's all centered on Revelation 13:18, trying to find a solution to that problem, trying to be the one who has the understanding, who has figured it out. That's really what it is. In my arguments, parts of it may be wrong. For instance, what the faith property is, whether it's grace or temporary mercy. I believe both are a part of it. I could be wrong. There might be something I'm missing. Use your critical thinking. Use your critical thinking to examine my arguments. What I'm very sure of is that love is a property. I'm sure that there's 4 properties. 3 wouldn't work with scripture and 5 wouldn't work with scripture. Only 4 works. I strongly believe that the inverse of the tendency to have forgiveness is a property. And I strongly believe that anger is a property. I guess I strongly believe that all the properties are what I say they are. So I'm biased because I'm the one who, made the theory and tried to name what the properties were. Of course, I'm going to be biased in that sense. So I'm still trying to think of how to prove that anger is a property. Because in Revelation, we have the 4 horsemen. 4 horsemen. And we have of the 8 spirits that classify as a spirit of God, 4 of them have anger. Only 4, which is half of them. So those 4 enacted judgment on the earth. Ooh, I just found a good point. One of those 4 is Jesus. Jesus has anger. That's important. Because the other judgment property, there's 2 judgment properties. You have the anger property and you have the inverse of forgiveness property. They're the judgment properties. So Jesus, his inverse of the tendency to have forgiveness is 0%. He doesn't require a sacrifice to forgive you, unlike the Father who does require sacrifice. So, but Jesus was the sacrifice, so we don't have to worry about it. But Jesus, his judgment property, the only judgment property that's at 100% is anger. So how can he be the one to enact judgment when the inverse of the tendency to have forgiveness is at 0%? So what I'm saying is that there's 2 possibilities. 1, the 4 horsemen are the 4 spirits of God with 100% on their tendency to have anger. The other possibility is that there's 4 spirits of God who have the inverse of the tendency to have forgiveness at 100%. So The four horsemen could either be the ones with anger or the ones with inverse of forgiveness. But if we know one of those horsemen is Jesus, who we know the property values of, we know that there has to be another judgment property than just inverse of forgiveness. Anger is where it comes from. That anger is a property. That's my best argument for trying to say why anger is a property, or that the property is anger. And another thing, I gotta think more on the grace / temporary mercy / faith. Gotta think more on that property. That property's harder. It's harder to make an argument for. Well, dealing with Revelation 9 and the end of Revelation 8. So in my paper, I have a whole bunch of stuff written down of how I came to the property values of the orange Spirit of God. But the orange Spirit of God, he is mentioned in Revelation 9. Revelation 9:11 to be exact. He's the same one as the one in Genesis. No, not Genesis. Exodus. Exodus 12:23. He is the same one who killed the firstborn in Egypt as the last plague. Anyway, his property values are the exact same as God the Father's, but the grace, faith, temporary mercy, that is at 0%. So he is harsher than the Father, hence the title Destroyer. Exodus 12:23 calls the angel the Destroyer. Revelation 9:11 calls him the Destroyer. It's the same Destroyer in both instances. And, well, where was I? Oh yeah, trying to make a case for the grace, faith, temporary mercy property. Well, using the animalistic characteristics of the locusts that Abaddon leads, and we get those we pair the animalistic characteristics with the properties from Revelation 4. So it's the whole argument of, hey, what are the property values of the Destroyer? And using those property values, we can say, hey, he has the same property values as the Father, except for one. We know what the Father's like. We know how he acts, what he does. He's the first Spirit of God that humanity ever knew about. God the Father is the first one humanity ever knew about. So, like the other spirits of God, the whole idea that there's multiple spirits of God wasn't even introduced until Jesus came. And then after that, we had the idea, hey, there's multiple spirits of God. And then now with Octotheism, we're expanding that to 8. There's 8 spirits of God. And there's also 8 spirits of the devil. Anyways, there's 8 spirits of God. And when it comes to the property values of the Destroyer compared to the property values of God the Father, if we know what 3 of the properties are. So we know, and those 3 are the same between God the Father and the Destroyer. So the difference between them is that missing property. And that difference is how I inferred is, oh, hey, grace, temporary mercy, faith. what faith means is not like the belief kind of faith. It's so confusing. I apologize. It's too late to change it. But faith means, in my book, uh, temporary mercy and permanent grace. That's what it means. So when I say the property of the tendency to have faith, that's what I mean. So I think I covered a lot of confusion from the last stream. Those were some of the biggest points that were levied against me. Too bad they aren't here now. I mean, I had to leave, had something come up the end of the last stream, so it's not like I could just keep streaming, but so I had to kick them out, I guess, by ending the stream. Anyway, if they were still here and I probably said all those things, it might satisfy them, or it might not. I don't know. Each person is different. Oh, my stomach. I'm so hungry. I haven't eaten lunch yet. I just got back from college, went straight up to my room, and just started streaming. After chugging a bottle of water, so I'm going to have to use the bathroom soon. So, anyway, I have 5 hours and 45 minutes of lecture on Mondays. If no one talks, if I don't get a comment by the 1 hour mark, I'm going to end the stream because I want to relax because my class begins in exactly 3 hours and 1 minute. I just want to relax in that time. I really do. Because it runs from 4 to 6:50 in the afternoon. So I just want to relax. So but if I get a comment, I have some time. I can talk for a bit longer if somebody comes up and talks within the hour mark. Do you hear my stomach going? "Woo." I'm hungry. Ugh. This is a flute. Is it a flute recorder? I don't know what it is. It's one of the two. It's for kids, I think. I got this when I was really young. What happens if I blow in the opposite end? What if I suck on the end? That plays a sound, that plays a note. Yeah, I'm looking at scripture. So Revelation 6 was the horseman, the white horse with the rider with the crown. That is Jesus. And I know that somewhere on the thigh of the rider says Lord of Lords, King of Kings. I need to figure out where that is. Yeah, so Revelation 19, we had a white horse, and the rider on that white horse, there was something dripping in blood, something about that. Anyway, it's obviously Jesus on that white horse, and he had many crowns on his head. I gotta use the bathroom so bad, I'm just gonna give it 2 more minutes. Going once. Going twice. Alright.